Welcome back to another review, this time for Call of the Night Season 2, which had 12 episodes and was airing in summer of 2025. Synopsis from Annihilist. Joe overcomes his confusion about becoming a vampire and decides to like Inazuna, while Inazuna resolves to make Ko fall in love with her. Without understanding what love even is, the two of them spend their nights together in a frenzy. Meanwhile, Detective Uguisu Anko is closing in with her plot to kill vampires, not just Nazuna. The vampires' weakness is anything they were attached to when they were human, and so they all try to get rid of this weakness before it is too late. But Nazuna has no memory of her human life. What is Nazuna's hidden past? Why did Anko start killing vampires? And what is the secret that Nazuna and Anko share? For Ko, Nazuna, and Anko, a fun late night doesn't end here. A new night begins. Now this synopsis, pretty in-depth, can't really add more to that. Now, in Call of the Night Season 1, we had this whole cozy atmosphere of enjoying the night, getting to know Nazuna, seeing how she interacts with Ko interacts with all the other people. It was a very cozy, very bright, not bright but colorful animation. It was very nice, relaxing. Now Season 2, we are going a little bit different. We get to enjoy more people, we see more new characters, we see old characters, we engage with them, and overall, I liked it. However, I do have my problems with this season. Now, there is a big opposition in this season. There is something going on, and in my opinion, I do not believe this anime, this story needed that to be in my opinion. I believe it would have been fine not to have this and just, continue enjoying, exploring what love is, what liking is, exploring vampires a little bit more. All these little things. That would have been fine for me. Now I do understand. I'm, just one person. There were some parts that really I did not enjoy that much. However, it would be a little bit spoilery. I'm going to go into those a little bit later. Overall, still wonderful animation. I like the characters. Nazuna, such a joy. Ko, very interesting. Him trying to find his place in the world, more or less. We see more of his friends. We see more of the other vampires. We see even some of the offspring the other vampires have. We see a lot of different characters from all different kinds of walks in life and, different personalities. It's very enjoyable, a lot going on. I like this. A lot of interesting characters. I mean, we have Mr. Green, which is like, a stand-in for us fans. And I just like that aspect of the show. I would have been fine without, the rest we got offered. Now, I can't really go too much into the story. Music, fire, it's creepy nuts. They are just awesome at making music, seemingly. Sound is good. Again, animation is awesome. It's colorful. It's not bright because it is mostly in the night, but it is very colorful. We see some background information about characters, which is very welcome because there are some questions that needed to be answered. Again, I like the characters. I like how they interact with one another. I really like Ko. He's a very cool dude. He's very, he, even though he doesn't want to, he is very stoic in his approach to, more or less where he is in life. It is hard to, or it is easy to forget he's like 13 or 14. He's like a teenager, which is insane. I like the other vampires. All of them are different personalities, different approach. They need to, if they want to feed, they need to get blood. And everyone has a different approach. Everyone is living a different life, a different job. Their offsprings are different. Some of them, take in new offspring a lot more regularly, and some of them, they are fine with like a limited amount. It is interesting to see all these, aspects of vampire life, and also that seemingly the vampires don't really know much about vampires at all, which is interesting. Now, again, I am going to talk about some of the stuff I did not like later. Now, the big opposition, the synopsis more or less said it, is Anko. She's the opposition. And I like her persona. I like how she is. She's very real. A lot of the things that are coming out of her are really stuff that people can feel, and it feels like a real person that got involved with this whole mess. I don't want to go too deep. And I really liked some of the, there are some parts of the story which, as the story is unfolding, it's like, this doesn't make sense, and this would not work, and this is stupid, and the characters do agree with that sentiment. And I like that, even though the characters themselves are agreeing with it. Stuff is still happening, even though some of them know better. Now, ratings-wise, AniList has it at 82, 83. My anime list at 8.39. I would say... Oh, right. I do want to share... totally forgot. Sorry. I do want to share one little scene. I do like this scene a lot. There are some beautiful scenes in this show. Really beautiful. And this is one of them.
走れるようになりたいかい?
And that is already it. I try to keep it as vague as possible, but beautiful scene. Beautiful scene. There are a lot. Again, it is very colorful. They use colors a lot and very well. I would say, rating wise, it is an 8 out of 10. A high 8 out of 10. Again, there are some parts that I did not like, which is like, putting it a little bit below. However, definitely recommend Call of the Night. If you have not watched season 1, go back and watch it. Continue watching season 2. It is a good show. Again, I like the characters. I like overall, normally the story, the connections between these people. There's a lot that I like about this. I did not gel that much with, the main plot of this season. Now, from now on, spoiler warning. Again, spoiler warning. Now, as the synopsis is saying, Anko is the opposition. We find out Anko and Nazuna, they have a past. Sure, fine. And that the vampire has, again, spoiler, the vampire has more or less turned her father. Her father was in like a frenzy dream state, killed his wife and nearly killed her. She defended herself. So she hates vampires. So she wants to kill all the vampires. She has like plans. She captured a vampire seemingly, or as she was saying, she tried a bunch of stuff, but you can't really kill a vampire unless you have anything they were attached to as a human. And this makes them weak, and then you can more or less kill them, or The only example we saw is that the sun was killing them. Or more or less, or asphyxiation. That one is a little bit unclear, but the sun definitely did work. So she is consumed by her rage. She wants to kill all the vampires. So far, okay, understandable, even though the father is more or less at fault. But sure, okay. Can get behind it. Now we have this whole part where she is trying to kill all the vampires that did not really do anything. Nazuna, one of them. And we find out that all the vampires that are around, they, as example, threaten Ko. If he doesn't turn in a year, they have to kill him to, keep themselves safe. Now, seems like they are not really keen on killing people. It also seems like they may have not killed people in the past, or at least some of them did not. So hunting them is a little bit weird. So this whole opposition is very strange. Now, I can get behind it. Okay, she was consumed by rage and stuff, which it did not feel like it. She was very rational in a lot of scenes. However, her big plan at the end was, hey, I'm gonna die at the hand of a vampire, potentially film it, and then more or less expose vampires to the world. This way, people don't go out at night, vampires cannot feed, vampires starve to death, bam, killed all the vampires. Win-win. Or win for her. I guess. She's dead at that point, but you get my point. Now, she also recognizes this plan is not going to work. You probably can get them to stay inside for like a couple years, but 10 years or so until vampires seemingly starve to death, which we saw in, I believe, season 1. Where the one guy was rampaging around after 10 years. We don't even know if they die after 10 years and starve to death or not. However, she accepts, hey, this is not going to work. It was like the last try. We find out she just wants to, she wants to end her life with the help of the vampires. Because she's scared of doing it herself. Now, that is totally understandable. I do not have a problem with that. She was so consumed. She looks back at her time trying to hunt vampires, and she feels like that time was wasted. She did not, she did not succeed in anything. She was unable to really kill vampires. She's unable to really kill them all. She may have killed a couple in all those 10 years, but she has not done anything else. So now her whole purpose, which was hunting vampires, is more or less gone. And this was her last try, and it would not have succeeded anyway. My main point is, vampires could have just entered buildings to feed on people. So, I mean, they don't go out at night, but vampires can go in, unless you have the vampires cannot enter, unless you let them in, or you invite them into your house, which is one of the vampires have a lot of rules that may or may not apply. Running water, oh, vampires cannot go over running water. They can. Garlic, yes, no. Garlic is more or less an accepted thing, but sure. Stakes through the heart, yes, no, and there are a lot of rules. We don't know which rules apply. But if they don't need an invitation, they can just go into a house, feed, and it would have done nothing. And additionally, there was a big scene in the middle of this fight, more or less, where, at Halloween, a lot of people are around. She goes out and she shoots the vampires. Now, this is a pretty big shock, because at the point I was like, oh, did she succeed? I was a little mad, which, if that would have been the point, totally cool. Now, seemingly it did not work, because you can't kill vampires with a normal gun. Question is, how did she get a gun? How she, she's shooting the gun in, not daylight, but in the evening. A lot of people around, and people don't follow her at all. It's even so far that she attacks another vampire who has her offspring with her, and that offspring is not following her or unable to, which is like, what? It is weird, the whole thing. Our vampires then decide, hey, we need to kill this bitch because she is trying to kill us. They follow her. The offspring finds her, is attacking her. We see he's very strong. He's able to, his fingers are able to scratch the concrete off the wall and stuff, or stone or whatever. But he gets a plastic bin over his head and he's unable to break free, which is like, what? Why? I mean, even if it was in like an iron aluminium, trash can, it would be like, huh? You can just destroy this. I'm pretty sure. This is all these little things. Then she runs away because this is her plan, and she seems to not be able to do this for long, which is like, okay, why are the other vampires not following her? Vampires are searching for her in the middle of the crowd instead of being on, like, in overlook one of the buildings and then swoop down if they find her. A lot of stuff. This whole scene is so weird because we have this attack. One of them gets attacked by a gun. We have a warning beforehand that this detective may or may not do something. The first thing she does is trying to find Anko. The vampire is trying to find Anko. Okay. Not using her smartphone. Why? Why are none of them using their smartphone to communicate? We have this whole scene, 2 of them get attacked. So we have the 2 vampires and the offspring meeting with Ko and Nazuna and being like, hey, we have to kill this bitch because she's trying to kill us. Okay, we go. While Ko is like, hey, she has a plan. She knows she can't kill you this way, but she has a plan. We should be careful. And in no way are they like, hey, yo, other 2 vampires, how about we work all together? No, smartphones don't exist until they exist because we need them to exist to have Ko meet them. It's like, why? Why? Then we have the whole... We get introduced to another vampire at the beginning, which seems a little bit off-putting, not like the whole other group, but that is the only time we see her. She's gone for the rest of the season, which is like, okay, why did we not see her a little bit more? I'm assuming she has something to do with Anko's father. We don't know. There are so many. We have the detective is able to find the weaknesses of the vampires and is very goal focused. She knows where the weakness is, which is weird because these vampires, they're like 30, 40, 50 years old. They are old. We know the vampire she found the clues from, which is the nurse, is at least 60 or 70 years old, at least, or around that ballpark. And our detective was able to find information about her, to then find her weakness, to then try to acquire that weakness, to then try and kill her. Which is like, how? How are you able to find information of someone who's 50 plus years old at a time where we didn't have internet, information was not stored readily, about a person that is a normal ass person, not a celebrity, nothing special, a normal person that got turned into a vampire, and you found information about her? It's like, how? How is that possible? If it's like 10 years ago or 20 years, I can understand. Like the vampire in season 1, I can understand that. But someone 50, 60 years ago, how do you find information about them? It's It's strange. Then, we are in spoiler territory again. We find out Nazuna has a mother, a vampire mother. She seemingly was birthed by a vampire called Haru. And she had, I believe, a human man, or Nazuna has a human father. And Haru was like, hey, I want to try, I want to try to get a child. I want to try raising a child. So she hooked up with a human guy and birthed Nazuna. Now, Nazuna was asleep until she was whatever age she is, and then she woke up. In that story, there are so many questions. It's like, because in my opinion, they have left all the information out. We only know Nazuna supposedly has a mom called Haru who looks identical to her, has a father which we do not know nothing about, zero. We know he existed, and supposedly those two died. They are gone. So, out of nowhere, we find out that Nazuna is the only one that was birthed, while the other ones seemingly got turned the old-fashioned way, falling in love with a vampire, getting bitten by a vampire, bam, you are now a vampire. Nazuna is the only one that got birthed, supposedly, has a mom and a father, looks identical to her mom, who is a vampire, and the father supposedly was a human as far as I remember. Those two, we saw Haru, the mom, a couple times, and she then disappeared. And before she disappeared and quote-unquote died, she gave the nurse like a message, hey, please keep my daughter safe. Nazuna, it's like, it makes like no sense. Someone kills these two, we don't know why or how. They appeared just to have Nazuna be different to all the other vampires, and then they just disappeared. They are gone. No explanation, nothing. We don't know who killed them. Was it someone specific? Was it a vampire hunter? Did they die because they wanted suicide, whatever? We know nothing. They just appeared. Bam, Nazuna has parents, so she's different, and they are gone from the story, which is like very weird, which is why I and some other people potentially as well, we don't buy it. It's just not, it is very sloppy storytelling. So my assumption would be that Nazuna is Haru, but got her memories wiped for some reason and whatever. Because it's a lot more interesting than parents that we saw for a couple seconds and are gone. So that is why there's so many of these little things that they're just very weird. And it's sad because I do like Anko. I like that, she had a goal. She tried to, reach her goal of killing every vampire. She had an ultimate plan after trying a lot of other things. That one fell through, but she knew beforehand. She also, said that this plan is stupid. It wouldn't work. It most likely would not work, but I had to try it. And it's understandable. I also understand her whole, 10 years of her life are wasted on trying to hunt these vampires because she was consumed by rage. She accepts, she knows, the vampires at fault that turned her father, but her father is also at fault because he got turned because he was unfaithful to her mom. And she knows that she's more or less just lashing out unreasonably, and she just had to try. She wasted her last 10 years on something that did not work and seemingly was not really... She's just left empty because her goal to this point is just gone. And she has some feelings that are understandable. Especially, there was this whole scene where she's saying that she wasted her last 10 years and she's not emotionally at the best point in her life. Let's say it that way. And that resonated because if you look back and you have like a time frame like that, be it like 2 years, be it 5, be it 10, and you feel like looking back, there's so much wasted time, potential, you could have done so much else, so much more, and it can be pretty negative to look back that way. Now, understandably, you should look forward as well, because you now accept, hey, there was this time frame, a lot of wasted potential, but I still have like 10, 20, 30 years. I can still make, some good time. And again, it resonated a lot for me. It is, in the whole, the opposition was not really needed for me. It did not really add much. We did get some information about vampires, yet they can be killed by using like some things they had as they were human, or a couple other little bits and pieces, which is not enough. If you had used the opposition to really feed us more information about vampires, if someone is being turned, what happens if someone is turned? Do they need to feed? This is some question that never got really answered. So if you turn someone, are they instantly super hungry? Do you need to feed them? Do you need to, teach them how to feed and stuff? Because the whole point of her father being so aggressive is it came out of nowhere, more or less, from what we saw. Meanwhile, the guy in season 1 that did not feed for 10 years, that is understandable why he lashed out. But the father was like very weird. And again, this whole opposition did not really need to be there for me. It's fine that it was there. I hope Anko is going to be a part of the series. My assumption was that she would turn into a vampire at the end, but I was wrong. Additionally, there are so many things about vampires we do not know. One of the big parts, all the vampires, they are more or less clueless. And one of the rules they did state is that after a year, you cannot turn into a vampire. Which begs the question, is that really the case? Or are they just making up a rule? Because it feels like they do not really know. But overall, I still like the series. I still like the characters, the colorful way to use the night and showcase. A lot of stuff to like. I told you all my grievances. I mean, you probably can explain some of them away, but still, there are just too many. Why not use the smartphones? Why is the parents of Nazuna, they are there for like 1.5 episodes, maybe at best, and gone forever? We don't know why they died, how they died, why did whoever killed them not kill the other vampires? There's just a lot of stuff that Sally did not really resonate well with me.